Hello again, everybody. This is Rocket Rick J18, and today I would like to do a video response for Eric at the Card Closet, who wanted to know on this Mother's Day um, what influence our mothers had on our collecting. And I'm going to go back to when I was just a school kid. I've told part of this story at least on a previous video, but just to remind you, it's when I was in grade school. We had ice cream trucks that would come and pizza truck that would come and pull up right next to the school property and catch the kids as they all, most of us walked to school. And so they would, catch us as we were, starting our walk home. And one of the ice cream trucks also sold baseball cards. And so when I got interested in collecting baseball cards, and by the way, this was in another town from where I went to the first grade. That was up in Pennsylvania. From the second grade through the 12th grade, I went to school in Delaware. And anyway, I digress. But the point was, I used to buy a lot of baseball cards at the ice cream truck that sold them. And that was probably the main place that I got cards because, in those days I had to walk or ride a bicycle, and there weren't that many places that I could go that were reasonably close by that sold baseball cards. But they also sold them at the little delicatessen that was near my grandmother's house, and I bought a lot of them there too. And I got the idea because I had very soft teeth, and I had a lot of cavities when I was a kid. And yes, I am old enough to remember when we didn't have fluoridated water, and that must have driven the dentist crazy because they didn't have nearly as many fillings to fill after that happened. But I couldn't chew the gum because it's all the sugar. So I got the idea that I could sell the gum for a penny a piece, and then use the money I got from selling the gum to buy more baseball cards. And I remember my mother telling her friends and my relatives that she thought that was really smart. And so I thought it was kind of cool that she kind of thought that it was a really good thing that I did that in selling the gum to buy more baseball cards. And so my mom, she took it upon herself to encourage me because she just thought it was a pretty good idea. I didn't have a lot of input into the card hobby. I mean, she knew that I collected cards, and she was happy with that as a hobby. I did collected other things too, and have all my life. My Uncle Bill got me started with a coin collection, and so I've collected coins, ever since the early '60s, back when they were actually made out of silver. So it was always been kind of a cool thing. Um I appreciated my mom's interest in my hobby, and I appreciated the fact that she, uh, thought I was going about it the right way. Um anyway, I don't want to belabor it too awfully much, but uh, yeah, it was kind of cool. So that's how my mom influenced my participation in the hobby, and the pleasure that I got out of collecting. I was able to do something to kind of enhance that. So that's what I wanted to tell you about. Uh, mom had a hard life growing up. She had scarlet fever, and that was tough on her as a little girl. Um, the other thing that happened when I was fairly young is my mother graduated from nursing school a few years before I was born, and she went off to New York City um, to practice nursing at a hospital that specialized in cancer in New York. It was then known as Memorial Hospital, and later known today, in fact, as Memorial Sloan Kettering. And she had several, relatively famous patients. If you not, I mean, patients. She was in the hospital that she worked at, and one of them was Babe Ruth. My mom started working in 1947 at Memorial Hospital, and of course, Babe Ruth was a patient there in the summer of 1948. Um, she liked Babe Ruth. Also there at that time was Joe DiMaggio, and through Joe, she also got to meet Dominic DiMaggio. And she liked Dominic a lot. I think she thought he was very nice. And Joe, she wasn't that fond of. And she would always say, "Well, he just, never really fit in. He was quiet and aloof." And they would see him out at different places, like most notably Sardi's. Most people know that, that he was a very much involved with dining at Sardi's, and considered him to be a someone who was interested in kind of taking care of his requirements at the restaurant. But mom was she was more interested in the not quite so famous Dominic DiMaggio than she was in the much more famous Joe DiMaggio. And I think I've told this story before also, that in Babe Ruth's last few weeks and months uh, in taking care of me, knew that he was going to die, and so he had a famous photograph of Babe that he had a supply of there at the hospital, and he would autograph them, to people who came to visit him and whatnot. He had two that he had signed for someone, and for whatever reason they didn't collect them, and so he gave those two 8 by 10 photographs of himself, which he autographed, to my mother. And so that was kind of a pretty cool story. And those eventually, both of them eventually found their way back to me. She'd given one to her aunt, kept one for herself. And after they were both gone, I wound up with both of them and still have them to this day. So that'd be maybe grist for another video. But I thought it was pretty interesting that my mother knew, two of the great Yankees, and DiMaggio and Ruth. She didn't know Lou Gehrig because he was already gone by the time that she got there. He got sick in 1939 and died, I believe, in 1941. So it was before she got to New York in 47. So I just think, those were things that we shared. She knew I was a big Mickey Mantle fan. She knew I was, very caught up in the home run race in 1961. It was just kind of cool being a kid back in those days and collecting baseball cards. So I just wanted to share that with you. When I was growing up, my dad wasn't around really. He and my mom split up when I was 5. And then he worked overseas, and so I didn't see him from the time that I was 5 until I was 12. And that's another story I don't want to get into, but I didn't. It was just me and my mother, and her family, her mother and my grandmother, her brothers, my 2 uncles, and her sister that I used to go spend summers with just about every year. Anyway, those are things that happened. I don't dwell on them too much, but I did think it was pretty cool that she knew some of the former heroes of that we know now so well through the baseball card hobby. It's just kind of cool. So anyway, thanks for listening to me. This is Rocket Rick J18, and I wish you all that all of your collecting dreams come true. And thank you for listening. And happy Mother's Day, Mom.